and welcome everyone. It's the top of the hour and we're getting ready to get started. My name is Chrissy Truder and I will be the moderator for today's webinar. We're very, very lucky to have two storage experts with us today. From Rolta AdvizeX, we have Chris Vattes, a senior business solutions architect with over 20 years experience in IT. Chris has had technical and functional responsibilities for national and global data centers. And then from Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, we have a technical architect. Her name is Beth O'Malley. Beth's focus is on channel partner technical enablement that represents the portfolio of HPE service products and on strategic initiatives of hybrid cloud, storage, hyperconvergence, and protection. And during our Q&A session at the end of the formal presentation, we have HPE's channel storage specialist, David Raposa, and he will help facilitate the questions to our presenters. A few housekeeping items, though, before I turn the webinar over to the team. If you have joined today's webinar listening through your computer speaker system by default and you can hear me through your computer, then you'll have no problem hearing me during today's presentation. If you'd like to call in using the phone, just locate your audio pane and select phone call, and then the dial-in information and access code will be displayed. All right, I think it's time to get started. I'll turn it over to Chris and Beth. You guys now have the controls.
Thank you very much. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for taking the time out, and I hope the pizza is really good. So without further ado, I'm Beth O'Malley, and Chris is sitting next to me, and I'm going to turn it over to Chris.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Chris Vattes from Rolta AdvizeX. I'm a senior business solutions architect, and before we get into the details about the three-part technologies of why you're here, I'll just provide a brief overview for those that may be unfamiliar with Rolta AdvizeX. We are a top 10 national partner with HPE, and we have 14 national offices. I work out of the Burlington, Massachusetts office that supports all of New England, and I support my colleagues nationally as well. So we've been in business for over 41 years with providing IT solutions, and we have over 96% customer loyalty rate, and that goes because our CEO, president, over that tenure, and currently we have a customer for life mentality. So we're accountable and we do what's right, and we take that very seriously. So that allows us to grow as an organization, and over the past 5 years or so, we've had a continual growth rate of over 19%. So we are your trusted advisor, whether you've been doing business with us currently, thank you so much. And if not, we're here to help you bridge the gap between your business and your IT challenges. We tend to lead with our technological experts, consultants like myself, or some individual consultants may have a particular expertise, but we lead with our technologists. We have over 300 technologists nationally, and we hold over 800 certifications through all of our partners and OEMs that we support. So you can be rest assured that if you have an issue with storage, or you have questions about VDI or any specific technology, we have the experts that can assist you. We also have integrated services, so we can really help you from, conception, design, to implementation, to run and maintain. We provide very in-depth advisory services, some of which can be no-fee assessments. We also have advisory services to provide you with 3- or 5-year IT roadmaps with gap analysis and risk assessments. We have a deep bench of consultants that have a wide range of expertise to close out the IT lifecycle. We do have managed services capabilities for those customers that want us to take a more proactive approach on a day-to-day basis in their IT environment. We focus on the really exponential solution. So, the hottest technology, we have the experts that focus on, mobility, cloud, applications, data and analytics, security, all of which that tie into HPE 3PAR, which you're going to soon hear about. And we have local and global operations. So we have local support regions. Again, we have 14 offices spread across the U.S. We also have global presence for managed services capabilities as well. So you can be rest assured you have local support for sales and technology in your region. And then lastly, we have a broad customer base. So because we've been in business so long and we do have that customers for life mentality, we do have over 2,700 customers today, and we have a wide spectrum of industries from healthcare to education to private sector to financial and government, retail, you name it, we've been in that sector. So on to the next slide. Again, we agnostically look at your business solution. So we look at your business first and what your business challenges are, try to figure out how to bridge your IT challenges with your business gaps. So a solution first, technology second approach is our methodology. And, you know, I've already discussed about our 100% committed to customer relationship. We take that very seriously. So we do have a high retention for customer business year over year. We provide end-to-end solutions across critical business applications, your data, cloud initiatives, whether that's hybrid, internal, or public, as well as security. Our integration expertise, we have the consultants that can not only design it, but employ and configure it and deploy it within your environment to be a seamless gap between your current IT staff and our AdvizeX experts. And then we sell what's validated in the market, right? So we validate the solutions to kind of make you folks accelerate your innovation in your organization and reduce your overall business risk. And lastly, before I hand it off to Beth, really our winning formula, right? It's really three basic things that AdvizeX can do for you. One is advisory services. You have an army of sales and pre-sales engineers that can really understand your business. We like to try to put ourselves in your shoes to understand the business and sell the solution first. We can do assessments, ROI, TCO, advisory engagements, a lot of which turn into consulting opportunities, so we can help on tactical and strategic consulting assignments, as well as deploying the latest and greatest technologies within your data centers. And then lastly, if you need assistance managing that, whether it's an ad hoc basis or more of a proactive managed services, we do offer those capabilities, and we do have network operations centers in Chicago, Illinois, as well as in India that can provide you with 24/7/365 support. So with that said, that's a nice, well-rounded introduction for AdvizeX, and most importantly, we're all here to hear about the latest and greatest of HPE three-part technology. And without further ado, I'd like to pass it back over to Beth O'Malley.
Thanks, Chris. I just want to say to everybody, AdvizeX, Rolta AdvizeX, is one of our most valued and distinguished partners. I mean, I have to tell you, working with AdvizeX on a weekly and daily basis that I support the channel, they are just an amazing arm. I came from the channel, and I have the utmost respect for this team. And with that, let's talk about the rise of the all-flash data center. So Flash is really driving the biggest shift in storage industry in the past 30 years, okay? All-flash data centers, all-flash is up 29.2% over 5 years. 1 out of 5 every dollar is spent. By 2019, it's going to be not a niche, it's not going to be in the corner, it's going to be fully integrated into your data center, right? If we look at the IDC, there is no doubt that Flash is transforming storage landscape, okay? With the advent of Flash, we're going to talk about further technologies moving forward in storage and NVMe and what HPE is also working with in our 3-part arrays. But the data center use of all Flash in all forms is going to increase. People are not going to want their data on spinning media anymore. So we have quite a few all-flash customers. You can all read the screen, okay, as you take a bite of your pizza. So Metro Health, 80% less space, $2.75 million saved. And that's just in productivity. But not only do you save in productivity, you save on electricity, you save on footprint, right? Really cool. If anybody out there has an iPhone and you use Siri and you want to ask her a question, it's sitting on 3PAR. Okay, Nuance is the company that has Siri, and it is sitting on 3PAR. If she's wrong, that's not our fault. So what does having all flash mean to you? So here's what a few of our customers are saying. One of them, Priceline.com, right? They had questions about performance and analyzing the backend ops, but they're just constantly crushing it, right? So William Shatner is really, really fast out there now, right? He's from Star Trek, if you don't remember the Priceline.com commercials. But with cloud providers, you can make bigger promises. So if you're in a cloud compute environment, you can actually make better SLAs for your customers and deliver on them. And Elko, it just makes his job easier, and you'll see why 3PAR can make everybody's job easier. So, and I left the slide in because it was kind of funny. Chris and I were comparing our slide decks, and they have a astronaut on his, so I left mine in. But basically, 3PAR is gone where no other vendor has gone before. This was a terrific acquisition that we made about 5 years back. It is data-centric architecture, so it's abstract from the media. It doesn't matter what's underneath. It doesn't matter if it's SSD, it doesn't matter if it's flash, it doesn't matter if it's spinning. It's basically taking on the adoption of new technologies and be able to put your applications on it and being able to have a solid footprint underneath that you're able to make those changes as the industry provides, right? So we have a great flash optimized portfolio. Now I do want to make sure that everybody understands we're talking about all flash, but this is a multi-tenant array, so it not only supports flash, it also supports spinning disk. Okay, so we have the Store Serv 8000, which is kind of our mainstream for 5 petabytes, and that's the high end. Okay, and then we have the 20,000 for the Priceline.coms who need well over 20 petabytes of effective capacity. But we have, and you can see here that we have 1 million IOPS in a single array, over 3 million IOPS in a single array. But I'm here to tell you to start thinking about latency in your arrays, because we are under 1 millisecond of latency. What that means to your applications is that there is no little spinning circle waiting for your application to complete and give you back an answer, okay? So if you're getting 10 and 15 millisecond latencies or millisecond latencies on your back end, your applications are slowing down and you're not getting your responses back that you need. So, flashing lights are great. And, the blinking lights and assist in your data center, and if you didn't notice, it's a beautiful color of canary yellow. But it's the software that really is the brains of it, right? So that's what really makes it a very smart, intelligent array, right? First of all, management is very easy to manage. It has a Store Serv Management Console. It's commonly referred to as the SSMC because at Hewlett Packard Enterprise or HPE, there is a TLA for everything, 3-letter acronym. However, within that management, you can manage all of the features and functions from a single pane of glass, such as reporting, file persona. You can do file and block with this, VMware integration, OpenStack, protection. We allow you to have the protection that you need. So you need disaster recovery, high availability, the ability to cluster your arrays, as well as cluster extension for your VMware environment. And we'll talk more in depth on that. Optimization, right? Adaptive sparing, the flash cache, and I love priority optimization, so we're going to go into that one. But just how do you optimize it? How does it self-optimize itself? And how efficient is it? You want to be able to use less space. So everybody can do compression and everybody does dedupe, right? So we'll talk about how we do that as well as do everything in that thin way.
So one thing to add here, Beth, that makes 3PAR a key differentiator between all of the competitors is the StoreFront Remote capabilities for predictive analysis. So one of the things that a lot of the other storage vendors do, everybody says, hey, we can integrate with VMware, right? We have a little nice plugin for vCenter, but HP has taken their innovation even further by, the standards of including not only plugins for vCenter, but also into Operations Manager. So I work with a lot of customers that have VSOMs, VROPs, VCOPs, it seems like VMware changes their product terminology every year, every other year, but Operations Manager has been a standard in several of my customer environments, and knowing that they can get the 3-part integration into Operations Manager for predictive analysis is a huge winning factor.
Thanks, Chris. That's a perfect comment. So everybody has a software licensing model. You just saw all that great software that we put into our array. So we've made it simple. Now, you buy a 3-part and it just ships with everything, okay? There are a couple of exceptions, but basically you don't have to buy a license for this array. So I know in the past with HPE arrays and our competitive arrays, if you wanted to do, say, snapshots, you had to buy a license for snapshot, or you wanted to do replication, well, you still have to buy a license for replication, but you wanted to do something specific like move a volume or change a volume size, you had to buy a dynamic optimization license. Now, it's just in there, right? It's like that old spaghetti sauce Prego. It's just all in there. The only reason that you would buy anything additional is if you had 2 systems and you're doing remote copy or DR, and then we'll sell you a separate package, one for each system that's frame-based, not drive-based, that has remote copy, federation, and pure persistence, as well as cluster extension, and then encryption, which is kind of like, it's all or nothing in the 3-part array, and that is due to HIPAA and TSD compliance. So the entire array has to be encrypted. So we do have an additional encryption license, but it's for the entire array, not per drive or for capacity or any of that. If there are any questions in the chat room, just please put them in there. We have folks on the back end that are looking at that. I personally can't see it, but I will answer that. So we have customers, and I'm not sure how many 3-part customers there are out there at this time that bought their licensing by the old way, which was per physical drive. Now you can make the move to all-inclusive licensing at your own pace, whether you upgrade and add a few more drives. You can just buy an all-inclusive license with it. I know this is going to be a terrible, terrible burden on your purchasing department, but the total cost is $222, and that's per frame. So it's basically, I think it's just a paper fee, but it's a very simple process. It's a transition license. There's no OS dependency. You can transition at your own pace, and it totally protects your investment, whether it's a single or multiple array environment. So also, in this whole being able to refresh, and we've changed our way a little bit, so you can do a technology refresh, right? So non-disruptive data migration of technologies to 3-part. Technology refresh, so if you have an older array or an old 3-part, you can, we can pure motion and move that data over to a new 3-part, bring it in thin, put it on all flash, increase your performance, and then we will dedupe it and compress it, and you'll see that in a bit where we can actually be very efficient with the space. And there's no disruption of services. We can federate between, so if you have an older 3-part, and you can use that for tertiary storage, and the host will not even care. And the best part is with legacy platforms, so these are the old, even our old EVAs that Hewlett-Packard used to sell, Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, and actually it was HP back then, not even Enterprise. You can do an online import. Online import is a free software. We give you the code for it. You can actually access for support services on it. AdvizeX can help do this as well. They are all authorized for all of this, and even on third-party arrays. So if it's not an HPE product, it doesn't matter. It can be from any of our competitors, and we'll probably pay you a trade-in fee for some of that. So we do have some external validation, so Gartner and IDC. And I think what's really important to point out here is we are a leader, right? So we're in that quadrant of both general purpose and solid state arrays. So we do have all flash arrays that do not allow spinning, but we also have mixed arrays that allow you to do solid state and flash, right? So those are the multi-tenant. But I think the #1 overall consideration is that it's not just for one thing. It's not just for VDI. It's for consolidation, online transaction processing, server virtualization, analytics, and cloud, okay? So we own 7 out of 10 data centers in the cloud are sitting on 3-part, FYI, okay? And then it supports our unprecedented integration capability. So yes, we integrate completely great with VMware, Hyper-V, right? We have plugins for all of the major applications, and it's a very competitive cost per gigabyte, and we'll talk about that in the future. So we've seen Flash evolve at a record pace. This is getting crazy because now we're going to talk in the future about some other technologies. But, I mean, Chris has 20 years experience, and I hate to say this, but I'm actually older than Chris, and I've got 10 more in here. So niche workloads. So having niche workloads, we had, and I can remember probably just 6 years ago, right? You tested SSD for a VDI platform, you put it in a POC, and it sat in a corner, and that's all it did, right? And it was great because it could handle those boot storms. So now we're moving forward mainstream. We've increased our capacities. The SSDs that are 3D NAND today are shipping at 15 terabytes. That's crazy, okay? The average terabyte is 7.68 for each drive, all right? And adding data reduction actually drives up or drives down, actually, the usable cost per gigabyte because you are putting down less data to have to write. The cost of SSDs is dropping, and you are turning up the ability to provision and get your applications out at twice the speed. And then there's the Flashonomics, right? Flash should be and is the default for critical applications, right? So what does this mean to you? It means put your SQL on Flash, put your Oracle on Flash, put your Exchange on Flash, put your analytics on Flash, right? You need to be able to respond to your customers, and your customers can be internal or external in a very efficient manner. So the data center requirements, they have to evolve. I mean, there's just no way. You know, target LUN ID in creating an array, and if you guys are old enough to remember that, then you'll be giggling. But the acceleration of apps, right? So there's always an app for that. It is just huge. To be able to turn them up from an operations perspective is to be able to support that idea in the idea economy, right? Be able to create for automation, intelligence, rapid delivery. So you can't, there's no more 3 months to bring up a VMware server or an ESXi server. You have to do hours, right? How are we going to manage that, right? And then we got to mitigate the risk. And not only on the edge to mitigate the networking the risk at that, but to ensure absolute data integrity, availability, and protection, right? Not just how are you backing it up, but it's got to go from end to end. And the investment, right? We all have to do more with less. We have to look at it maybe from instead of a CapEx to an OpEx model, and the ability to financially be very flexible in being able to accomplish this. Think about Airbnb, right? There was an idea, it's got an app for that. How many properties do they own? None, no overhead, right? But they have to be fast, and they have to be able to connect person to place and person to enable that bill of sale. So let's talk about app acceleration, right? So as we look at what we currently have today in a mesh active ASIC accelerated, so we're looking at the bottom of the screen, right? So if you look at that, that's a 3-par right there, okay? So that's 3-par, that's ASIC accelerated, it's very fast, okay? Oracle, SAP HANA, right, moving over to the side a little bit, coming over to the right. We got block and file, which we do great on our ASIC, right? Now, as we move into the virtualization area, maybe we're talking a little bit where we're going to put some persistent memory out there, right? And it could be server persistent memory sitting in the 3-par array. And as we move further out, as we're going through and we're talking about Docker and containers and Mesosphere, we just started partnering with Mesosphere, by the way, which is a containers cloud company. Very, very cool. But then now as we move further out into the future as well, right, we're going to talk storage class memory. We're going to talk NVMe, right? So being able to have that underlying plumbing that's going to be able to support you through to the future is invaluable today, right? It's definitely an investment that's worthwhile. Operation simplicity. Now this is like the best thing since sliced bread, okay? Because the first reiteration that I learned on 3-par, it kind of had a, you know, you had the whole tree, and it was great. I liked it, right? The Inform OS, and now the Store Serv management, we kind of changed the interface a little bit. So if you have HPE servers, and I hope you do, or if you have C7000 and you have our Blades, which I hope you do, and I hope you have all of it, we also have one view that manages it all. And as you can see, it's a dashboard type interface. If we look next over to the right, HPE 3-par SSMC, and I said before that was the Store Serv Management Console, Gee, kind of get the same dashboard look and feel. And then maybe we look at Recovery Manager Central on the next right over called RMC. That's our Express Backup for snaps. And then, oh, StoreFront Remote that Chris elaborated on earlier. That sort of looks alike too. So I think that if you can manage one, you can manage the rest, and it just makes life easier because it is drop down. It's very intuitive to navigate, and by the way, you can manage your 3PAR from inside one view that you're also managing your servers from. So that just makes it autonomic management, and then we also have a smart SAN. If you get a little nervous about zoning on switching and fiber channel, don't worry about it, we got you covered.
So what's nice about this, Beth, is you mentioned HPE OneView and the commonality of the management interface. Makes it important to probably make note that, you know, everybody in the marketplace has been looking for something that's simpler to manage in their environment. In the terminology came up with converged infrastructure. So what's nice about this is whether you're doing kind of traditional IT, buying your servers separate, buying your storage separate, what's nice is HPE OneView can add that converged-like management capability wrapper around your HPE server and storage, just like you would get out of a HPE CS700 converged platform that also has 3PAR in it. So whether you're interested in converged infrastructure or traditional IT, you're getting that very similar, innovative, and simplistic management feel.
Thanks, Chris. That's great. So, and thank you, Chris, for that lead-in on simplicity. So the array is designed to be very flexible, right? It's supposed to be easy, no upfront provisioning. You basically set a set of policies, say, okay, I might want some drives of this kind, and I might want some volumes of this kind, or volumes, not drives. So there's no upfront provisioning, right? You can change anything at any time, add, remove. It's self-tuning. It actually will go ahead and look at the drive layout of the actual data, the way it's laid out on the drives, and it will move it around as it's required to make sure that it performs at the best and highest level, and it does that autonomically. And then we have autonomic sets. So the great thing about autonomic sets is, say for an example, you are starting a 10 ESXi farm with servers, and you're bringing it up for new, and you're going to get the storage off of 3PAR. It's all flash, and each server needs about a 2 terabyte volume, right? So you have 2 terabyte RAID 1, you'll set a policy and say, hey, I want to be able to make some RAID 1, I want to use my SSD drives. So you can go ahead and set a host set together, right? Group them in as a little group of hosts and say, okay, I want each one to get a new volume. I want it to have these attributes based upon the policy I've already set, so you just click and make it 2 terabytes each, and then click a button and say provision it. Now, in about 4 to 6 seconds, all of those hosts will have their drives. It will be presented, and you can now just go in, you can define them, you can mount them, and you can provision them. Doesn't get any easier. So being able to do autonomic sets will help you to work more efficiently. So the autonomic experience, and everything seems to be autonomic today because we want it to be automatic. You shouldn't have to think about your SAN. You really shouldn't. The days of having to micromanage a SAN are long gone. Okay, it's not fun to do. I used to have to do it. I know a lot of folks have. So we have the dashboard. You can look at the health, the performance, and the capacity as a glance. Okay, this type of information our competition will make you charge for, especially performance, right? If you want to look at the performance of your array and say, hey, how come I'm not doing this? You want to find something instantly, it's got a great intelligent search. If you want to identify the capacity and performance issues early, all right. So say you are thinking about you've got a couple of volumes and you want to know if it's going to be effective for you to turn on a feature called deduplication or compression. So, but you don't know if the data on the volume is a good candidate, what the ratios you're going to get, and any kind of savings that you're going to get, right? Whether, you know, if you can save a gigabyte, you can save $1, right? So if you can identify that early and have no impact to the array, but you can know that up front, and it comes with the operating system, and it's in the dashboard, that in itself is invaluable. And then federation. You can run workloads at the right cost in the SLA. So basically with the ability to have a mixed workload of SD and spinning, you can put the right application on the right type of media for the right performance. So StoreFront Remote, anytime, anywhere storage analysis. And actually, you know, Chris has more experience with this than I do. I run a couple of reports here and there for my partners, but I didn't know if Chris wanted to take a little bit of a deep dive on this for you.
I'll just give a little overview. StoreFront Remote is a software license capability, again, for 3PAR, and it does tie in to give you more of a proactive look into things. And the biggest integration that we see, again, is with Operations Manager from VMware. And if you're familiar with that product, it's not just your typical vCenter server where you're doing your day-to-day administration, right? It's giving you more of that long-term proactive management, right? Doing capacity management, seeing what your performance metrics are by volumes. You know, you want to make sure that each critical business application that has associated volumes are operating at certain levels, right? So realistically, this will allow you that proactive management. So if, you know, your stakeholders in your business, your CIO or director of IT is asking, how much runtime do we have with this environment on 3PAR? You can be rest assured, you know, you get a central stop to kind of get that information, and we see no better fit than plugging 3PAR into Operations Manager.
Thanks, Chris. Perfect. So again, common management from data center to device to data services. So you can see the one view, the 3PAR SSMC, StoreOne's RMC, and then StoreFront Remote, right? It's all a common language. It's all built on a piano interface. So you're able to search quickly. You can create templates, especially in one view. It really drives almost like a cloud service automation within that, and able to use templates for being able to bring up virtual machines or environments quickly. There is a map view so that you can understand the relationships between them. Obviously, you can click on them. And then alerts for proactive notification, and that's just huge. We also have phone home feature that continually phones home from every single 3PAR out there, no matter how old it is. Every SA within the organization, Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, has an access to look at that. We cannot see your data, but we can see if you're up or down, or if there's a health check or something that might need to be done. I get a report weekly that says, hey, the following customers in Massachusetts, their 3PAR is not phoning home. Can you call the customer and make sure everything is okay? Right? If they know it, do we need a service call? So we proactively watch your array.
There's one additional thing to mention here too, is all these dashboards are customizable. So based on your IT role, if you have specific interests or responsibilities for certain applications, you can focus your dashboards on those specific volumes and applications. If your larger IT organizations may have a siloed storage organization where you may have certain people supporting VDI only or supporting business critical applications, and you can have a multi-tenant kind of, everybody has their own ACLs and roles and responsibilities, and customized dashboards per what they need to do their job.
Yeah, great point. Thank you, Chris. Let's talk about some risk mitigation. So you need zero impact to application and for protection, right? So basically what we have built into, and a lot of VMware has this, operating systems have this, is called a T10 diff, right, or a persistent checksum, which is the ability for our 3PAR array to go back out and look at your host HPA and make sure that there's no garbage getting pushed through an HPA. We have found that data coming off of the server is going through the HPAs, coming out to the SAN or ISCSI environment even. There can be some data corruption happening at that point, not necessarily just at the controller point where it comes into the array and something happens there and then, you know, garbage is written out, right? So garbage in and garbage out. So we have a persistent checksum that from the 3PAR that goes all the way out to the host to make sure good data is coming into it, okay? And then what we're able to do is in the built-in infrastructure, we can go primary to primary and create a cluster with pure persistence, and I'll explain a little bit what that is later, so that we can actually almost create a cluster, and then we can take snapshots and we can express protect with Veeam, who we partner with, our HPE Data Protector, Veritas. Just a side note on our Store One, just to this backup system, it is an open system. So it works with almost every vendor out there. So you don't have to change the software, but you can get better utilization by just changing out your hardware and better performance as well. But again, if we look at the zero impact and protection, so Recovery Manager Central basically brings in an ISV integration such as SQL Server, Microsoft, VMware. We partner with Veeam highly in the virtualized environment, and it takes an express snapshot for a very express backup. And then you can send it off for a long-term backup with your Data Protector or whatever other application that you need or you're using. So here's some high availability features and persistent features. These are built into 3PAR. I don't know of any other arrays out there that actually can do this, but we can actually build you a 6/9 field-proven flash array or hybrid array, whichever you choose. But with our resilience features of pure persistence. So basically what it is 3PARs can replicate different data centers at the metropolitan distances and act as peers. So continuous storage for the host and transparent failover. They don't know anything happens. For persistent cache, in the event of a controller or cache failure, because, you know, hardware does fail occasionally, it minimizes the performance and the availability impacts that it would normally have if you had to go to a write-through mode. Persistent ports. Just one comment on that. We go to 4 and 8 controllers, and they're all mesh active, so you can start at 2 and scale to 8, depending on the model. So I do believe a VP of one of the companies out there said that no enterprise corporation should ever have only 2 controllers in their array. Minimum is 4. So just let that sink in. Persistent ports. In a nutshell, this gives 3PAR fiber channel ports different identities, so they can handle, you know, certain failures and conditions, and somebody pulls a cable, nobody sets up MPIO for multipath IO. We will actually create that for you, and that's what it is. This is very unique now, is the shelf level availability, okay? We can actually stripe the data across the shelves in a RAID configuration, and if you lose one shelf, you do not lose your data. So if you want to run a RAID 5, 3+1 of your data, we will stripe it across 4 shelves, 3+1, 4 shelves. And the way that we round robin write data in parity, you can actually lose an entire shelf without losing any of your data. You stay up and running. Now you're going to call support, get a new shelf, and have your rebuild done as fast as possible. But it's going to keep you up and running, and you will be protected. We also can do this in a RAID 6 configuration. So this is highly, highly unique. So it just gives you better availability. And then distributed sparing. So basically what we do is we take the chunklets or the pieces of the data, parts of the drives, and spare chunklets, and they're distributed across all the drives. So it provides for better protection and faster rebuilds in the event of a drive failure. So I was taught 20x years ago that one of my mentors at Digital Equipment Corporation has said that disk drives do 3 things extremely well. They read, they write, and they break. So please keep that in mind when you're building in your high availability of your array. Now, I mentioned this earlier, and I think this is such a cool feature that nobody else really has out there in the industry. I got to play with it for the first time about 3 years ago when it really came to fruition. It's called Priority Optimization. So if we look at the types of people playing on the array or using the array, we've got the file users, and we get the database guys, and we get the email users, and then we just have the general purpose users, right? So every once in a while, one of our database guys gets to be a little noisy, right? Maybe we're doing some testing, maybe some devs, et cetera, et cetera. Well, you know, that's hurting the CTO's ability to get his reports at the end of the month to report to Wall Street. So how do we fix that? Because we need to give some of that back to the other applications. So we can actually limit that noisy neighbor, and we can limit him by the IOPS he can have, minimum or maximum, the latency, or the priority, low, medium, and high. Now this is set ad hoc on the fly. You can turn it up, you can turn it down, and it happens instantaneously. And this comes with it, it's just a cool feature. So you can go into your reports, see who's getting hit a little hard, say, I need to re-level this out a little bit. Let me see who's kind of sucking up too much of the bandwidth, and let me clear up him a bit. It's a very nice feature to have. And investment choice. So the future-proof architecture for any SSD technology, and this is really important to know, right? I mean, and please, if you ever get a chance after this WebEx, go out and look at www.hpe.com/synergy, and you will see the true meaning of the future of compute, right? We're plumbing it for photonics, which is just so exciting. So going back to storage, future-proofing the architecture. So we were first to market with high-density SSDs that are, and we are NVMe ready, so non-volatile memory ready, okay? We have adaptive data reduction with sparing and express layout. So basically, we can actually do on-prem at less than half the cost of a public cloud. So let's talk about how we're going to get there, right? First, we're going to get there with the adaptive data reduction, okay? We're going to use zero detect, so as we're bringing the data in, we're looking for those zeros that aren't real data, and we're tossing those out, right on, inline, right through the ASIC. We're going to now go ahead and look at it, and we're going to dedupe it. We're going to find any duplicates, and we're going to toss out the duplicates. We don't need it. We only need one copy of the data. We have express indexing. It's very, very efficient. Now we're going to compress that data, okay? So as we compress the data even smaller, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take these little packages of pages and we're going to put them together in 16 KB increments, and we're going to create this little data packing, right? So we're going to fill them up. And the reason we're doing it is because on an SSD, if you start writing anywhere and you have to start looking for things, you can actually create garbage collection to happen, which puts overhead on it. So with our data packing, we eliminate all garbage collection and are now therefore very efficient in the way that we can do it. So we can reduce your storage overcost, over 41 total compaction. Here's the disclaimer, and every storage vendor has to say this, and I believe this. Your mileage may vary. If it's packs and it's all imaging, it's not going to compact. It's not going to compress. But we are getting some great numbers with Oracle. Accelerated performance, right? So it's always accelerated, it's always in line, and future-proof, right? We're optimized for storage class memory, which is where I'm going to have to retire because that'll be the end of my job. So let's talk about new technologies, right? So today, right, the Flash is 3D NAND. We have 15 terabytes today. We're going to 24 terabytes tomorrow, and that's coming. Faster array cycles, higher capacity, improved endurance. So just FYI, our SSD drives today, yesterday, or about a month ago, they had a 5-year warranty. They now have a 7-year non-conditional warranty. That's non-conditional. We don't care what you do to them. It's non-conditional. So if you buy a 3-part array, you get 3-year support with it. You're going to get 7-year support with the SSD drives. Automatically, they'll just take on that attribute. And what's your ROI on all of this? Okay, there's got to be an ROI. You know, the calculator guys, the CPAs, they got to see the ROI. First of all, it's the only flash architecture on the planet to provide a single architecture for small and large. Trade-ins, you can trade in your old stuff, whether it's HPE or not, right? We can offer the customer a way to regain the cost of their existing hardware. We can migrate it with peer motion and online import. Those are free, unrivaled, and fast. Non-disruptive data migration in most cases, not all. And then capital, look at it as a CapEx, not an OpEx, as an OpEx, not a CapEx, I'm sorry. Flexible capacity, right? Non-capital expenditures, right? We can start it very low. We have a team of people who can actually help you with the finances on this. And then on-prem at less half the cost of the public cloud. So we're saying under 3 cents a gigabyte usable per month, okay? If you were to use the flexible capacity, nothing up front, you can meet their 6 nines of availability, the best warranty in the industry. There's just no.
So there was a question coming in, Beth, exactly on this, not to cut you off.
No, but that's great. Thank you.
One of our folks on it had this exact question, and we can elaborate on that a little bit. Is they had a question: how can we save money using 3-part over cloud storage? And I know that you already went into the data deduplication and compression capabilities. and now you're getting into more of a CapEx versus OpEx and having on-prem cloud, if you will. So I think just to point out that, to the panelists that had this question, we should answer that for them, and I think we're on the right slide for that.
Okay. So, and basically, this is exactly what it is, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you're not putting anything up front. You're signing an agreement. You only pay for the storage that you use. And we're going to build in a buffer on that. So if you do need more, great. I got to tell you, if you don't use it, don't worry about it. We'll take it back. Okay? No, there's no charge to you. You don't have to commit to anything like that. Error-proof zoning and automation, right? And then seamless tech refresh at your time and your own destiny. So I think if you had to go and say, all right, so I need X amount of terabytes in AWS, right, for certain applications, you're going to find that if you compare cost to cost, apples to oranges, you're going to find that it's probably cheaper for you to keep it on-prem with the automated management that you're not going to have to spend. You don't have to go out and hire another fan guy. You don't. He'll learn this in about 15 minutes.
That brings up a good point, Beth, because a lot of the customers that we've been coming into are out in the cloud that want to come back to on-prem because of the growing exponential costs in AWS or Azure or other platforms. And they really went out that for the ease and flexibility to add capacity on demand for what they believed was a low cost initially. What's nice about the flex capacity option by HPE is it allows them to not only take that cloud model and have on-prem cloud, right, but have that functional operating expense model where you have that capacity on-prem. You're only going to pay for it when you use it, just like the cloud. You have it right in your own data center, and a lot of customers are going to that just because it's easier to manage when it's on-prem because it interacts with the current infrastructure. And from a cost perspective, it's pay as you grow, same as the cloud and having on-prem. So this is
a true no-brainer.
Yeah, it is a true no-brainer. If you can't do CapEx and you have an OpEx model in your organization, you're looking for cloud, I would bake this off against any cloud provider any day of the week.
Thanks, Chris. Great. Perfect. So HPE, in summary, and AdvizeX, we deliver all flash without compromise, right? Startups, established platforms, enterprise class, data services. So the great part is that you can have all performance, efficiency, multiple applications, cloud-type services, all in the same array. You don't have to have multiple arrays. You don't have to manage multiple different arrays. You don't have to have 3 different SAN administrators. You can do it all from HPE 3-PAR Store Serv. Chris?
Absolutely. So as far as next steps goes, I know that you probably drank from a fire hose during this webinar because there was a lot of information in there. I think there's a lot to think about, right? Not only from a functional perspective, whether you're in cost savings mode, if you're thinking about going to the cloud because it could be cheaper, it's great to know that HPE has those different financial models, whether you're traditional CapEx folks or you're looking more of an OpEx on-prem cloud solution, right? So I would urge you to think about a lot of this technology, right? You're best suited to answer your most business challenges right today. So I would say as next steps, think about this, reach out to us. What we can offer you is we can come on site, we can give you a more in-depth review, question answer about what your business does, what your business challenges are, how IT can address those, and how really HPE 3-PAR and the innovation that it brings both from a technical and functional aspect to address those business challenges. Secondly, we can provide executive briefings. If you're more concerned about the total HPE portfolio, right, we can help you move forward. We can show you roadmaps of where they have been, what the future is. We can get the right people in the room to discuss that, right? So if you're looking at VDI, for example, we can show you with the experts that have the experience with end-user computing. We can show you the experts that have storage experience, including 3PAR, and we can talk about business strategy, C-level to C-level, how your return of investment in TCO will affect your business by investing in this technology. Lastly, is we can help you with a proof of concept. So if you need to bake this off versus cloud opportunity, if you're looking at other storage vendors or you have other storage vendors today, there's no doubt, I don't think there's one proof of concept that I've been in where 3PAR has lost. Just because HPE is an innovative company, they're probably the most innovative partner that we have, and just from their whole product portfolio and the integrations that it has with 3PAR, we really have had the greatest success demonstrating these technologies up against any other type of solution. So you can be rest assured, you know, we're here for you. Again, we have a customers for life mentality. So we stand by you. We want to understand your business challenges, and your IT challenges. Let us help you with your solution review. Let us help plan your next steps, and let's act on it together.
Thanks, Chris. So I want to thank everybody for participating, and I'd love to open this up for Q&A at this point. So let me go out to the chat to see what kind of questions we have.
I know one came in, Beth, about what type of protocols so someone's saying, what protocols does 3PAR support? Is it fiber channel only?
Oh, no. So fiber channel, iSCSI, 1 gig, 10 gig. We also support fiber channel over Ethernet, FCOE, and then, of course, we have, you know, all different ways of doing it. We have reference architectures in every environment on how to set it up. Now, I see another question that's come in. How long does it take to migrate to 3PAR? How much data do you have? Is kind of the question, right? So we can take a look at it. It depends on what the medium is. We prefer to do the online migration. If you're a fiber channel customer today, that's great, because what we can do is with the zoning and the online import, we can take volumes from one array, and if we're going over 8 gig fiber channel, it's going to be faster than 1 gig, okay? So, and then there's also, you can do it host-based, however, or if you are a VMware customer today, you can storage vMotion it over, which is, that's however long it takes to get over there, but it's pretty fast. Any other questions out there?
I just saw one come in, Beth, about how 3PAR offers file options, file and block capabilities. So that's 3PAR has, it is an integrated storage platform. It will do block level and file level capabilities. And what's nice about the file level capabilities is it really gives you a few options, right? There's a software option called File Persona that's licensed at a per terabyte level, and that will allow the customer to run block and file level simultaneously on the same 3PAR array. And additionally, because of some of the constraints that File Persona may have, or the size of the organization, 3PAR can also connect to external gateway servers to provide even more dense file serving capabilities and resiliency around that, both 1 gig and 10 gig capabilities.
Oh, perfect. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, you're 100% correct. So if you look at the chat box, I don't know if you can see it, Chris, can you share a case study example of a Rolta AdvizeX customer implementing the 3-part storage solution?
Yeah, so I'd probably say 2 of which. We've been working with an auction, a very streamlined auction provider in the marketplace today. They were looking for block and file level access. They were looking for disaster recovery, high resiliency, and 3PAR sold itself. We were going up against a lot of the other top OEMs in the storage market today, but with the key features like pure persistence, being able to have metro clustering in literally 6 nines of availability, 0 downtime maintenance, the capability to tier storage across solid state spinning drives and high dense capacity, low spinning drives was critical to them. Really the rich feature set that came with 3-Power because of the innovation of HPE sold itself, and they've been very, very happy on it. They've been running on iSCSI environments, and it's been very, very positive, both from a customer experience, a partner experience, and an OEM experience. And probably another polar opposite environment is been a public sector, very, very sensitive information. So growing data center with a lot of growing storage capacities. So 3-Power was able to meet and exceed their initial 2 petabyte requirements, as well as long-term archiving solutions with other HPE solutions, data at rest encryption, fiber channel connectivity. It's been very positive, regardless of what industry you're in or what type of workload is in your environment.
Perfect. Thanks, Chris. We do have another question that came in. Can the priority optimization feature be set up to automatically change priorities based on daily, weekly, and monthly tasks? So you can set them up to actually go in and look at that, and you can schedule that out. Another feature that we didn't even really talk about beyond priority optimization is adaptive optimization. So adaptive optimization is the ability to take a look back of your data on your spinning drives, determine if it deems to be moved to SSD drives because it needs more IOPS and there's too much latency for those applications based on the policy that you have determined and set. And then when it drops below that threshold, it'll move those chunklets back down to the spinning drive area because, you know, SSD is a very heralded real estate up there, right? So you don't want to put data that's doesn't need to be up there. So you can also use adaptive optimization for that, and priority QLS can be done on an ad hoc or on a schedule basis. Oh, one more question. Does 3-Power have disk cache capabilities like some of their competitors? Oh, yes. And actually, Fast Cache is a great product, by the way. Give it a plug for my competitor. We do. We have what's called adaptive flash cache. So we have the ability to take some of the cache from the SSD drive, give it to the controller pair, almost like a layer 3 cache, if you will, with a server, right, and be able to speed up your reads. So we definitely have that capability. It's inherent in the arrays. All you need is a layer of SSD. We'll take some portion of it and give it to the controllers for adaptive flash cache, and then you can use the rest of that for your data. There's no need to segment out and have a whole special 8 drives just for fast cache or flash cache. You can use part of it for flash cache, and you can use the other part of it for data, so it's very flexible. Thank you for that question. And I think that's all there is for questions at this time.
We had a full area of questions. Thank you very much for your participation, everyone.
Great. Thank you so much, Chris, Beth, and David. That was a very, very educational presentation. We really enjoyed it. If anyone does have any future questions, you can feel free to type them into the chat pane for the next few minutes, or if you want, you can email me directly, and that's ktrutor@iceworldwide.com. So that's KTRUTOR@iceworldwide.com, and I'll type it into the chat pane as well. And I can pass your questions along to Chris and Beth for them to answer. But thank you, everyone, for joining us, and I hope you enjoyed the pizza. If you need more information on storage solutions, please visit advizex.com. You can now disconnect your line. Thank you.